Hello there. You're welcome to our Health Hour, your go-to podcast for informative discussions around women's health. In the gym, your car, kitchen, or wherever you decide, tune in every 2 weeks for new hot topics you don't want to miss. And hold on, do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms so you join the conversations at our Health Hour. Hello, everyone. You're welcome back again to another episode of our Health Hour. I am Balikis Abubakar, one of your hosts, and with me is.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hikmat. Welcome to another episode of our Health Hour. And just like we promised 2 weeks ago, we're going to be having like a very exciting episode today, which is titled Now You're a Woman. So today we're going to be talking about the coming of age of women, and we're going to be looking at keep some like menstruation. We're going to be talking about puberty. We're going to be talking about menstrual hygiene, what is normal and what is abnormal, about menses. We're going to be talking about how you can support your women, your children, however you're related to them, support them during their menses. Yeah, also going to be talking about the anonymous messages that we received during the weekend. We want to especially thank the audience for taking our time to respond to our poll questions, and we'll be sharing them with the rest of the audience today. So
Yeah,
let's get right into it.
of course. It's a very interesting one. And as Ikma mentioned, the agenda is very packed. So let's dive straight into it. So, whether you've just started your periods or you've been menstruating for years, there's also always something new for you to learn. And we're happy to be doing this. We'll be discussing everything, as Ikma mentioned. We'll also be talking about, supporting young girls through puberty, addressing period poverty in developing countries, and also giving some tips on menstrual hygiene. So Ikma, do you want to start with, just giving us the background around menstruation in general? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Before we go into menstruation, we have to like talk about the coming of age. So, first of all, generally, 2 years before your menstruation starts as a woman, your body starts giving you signs. And when I mean signs, it starts to prepare itself, letting you know that some huge changes are about to happen. And these changes include like sweating more. You can start having pubic hairs, and you can also have like more oily skin, acne, and in some cases, the breast starts to develop. So, and after a while, which in average is usually 2 years, your menstruation starts. So, yeah, talking about menstruation now, your menses can start as early as the age of 8 and as late as 16. So anything later than 16, you should actually start thinking about going to see a doctor.
Yeah, I think also just to add that as part of puberty, also you could have like hormonal changes, and this could bring about mood swings, which we'll be talking about later. And for me, I remember when I first started like getting cramps and all that, I didn't know what they were, so it was just like a clue that my period was going to come soon. So yeah, there are different changes that occur in our body when we get to that stage of puberty.
Absolutely. So now we're going to be talking about the signs of menstruation, or how like menstruation happens. So first of all, when the menses starts, the egg travels down the fallopian tubes, and if pregnancy does not occur, the lining of the uterus, which have been programmed to actually support pregnancy, because menstruation, the whole concept of menstruation actually goes around pregnancy, fertility. So if you do not get pregnant after a phase called ovulation, this is when the menses process starts, because the egg has to go somewhere and it is reabsorbed by your body, and the lining of the uterus, because your hormones have been up before, the hormones which are responsible for the menstruation, the estrogen and the progesterone, When they fall, the lining of the uterus comes away and leaves the body as a menstrual blood or menstrual flow. So the timing of the
Hmm.
start of this phase to the end can vary from woman to woman. So it is referred to as a menstrual cycle. Some women have it as short as 21 days, and some other women have it as long as 35 days. So you have the period in which the egg is released, the egg is awaiting fertilization, and if it doesn't get fertilized, it comes out of the body as menses. Yeah,
Menstruation is just like the part of our body just preparing for pregnancy, and as you mentioned, every month the uterus builds up the lining, and if there's no pregnancy, then the lining sheds, and that's what comes out as our period. That's quite interesting to know.
absolutely. Yeah, some people, like I said, some people have it as short as 21 days. Some people have it as long as 35 days. So it might not be ideal to say it's monthly. So you just have to calculate your own circle to make sure that it is within the range of normal, which I just mentioned, as early as 21 days or as late as 35 days, to know where
Hmm.
you belong and how to calculate your menstrual cycle or your menstrual
It's
cycle.
actually fascinating. I mean, I must say, like the fact that we have to go through this menstruation every month, and sometimes it comes with like cramps, mood swing, and everything. But I think it's part of becoming a woman, and we have to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to go through that. And while some women has have it easy, some other women have it tough, which will bring us down to like the talking about the pain that women go through, which is popularly known as menstrual cramps. Menstrual cramp can vary from women to women, considering like yeah, sometimes it might be hereditary, sometimes it's just your nature, sometimes it might be diet, and other times it might be like a problem, like an issue that you need to address. So yes, but period pain is common because your womb has to contract to expel the lining of your uterus, and also your cervix has to dilate at least less of a centimeter, 1 centimeter or less, to allow the passage of blood. So, from the contractions and also the dilation of your cervix, you would have to feel a certain amount of pain to expel that blood from your body. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, but I think the good news with that ICMA around cramps is that there are ways to relieve those cramps, and I think it is a classic remedy that people use. So, like using it pads and hot water bottle can help to relax those muscles, and I think using over the counter painkillers as well. Personally, for me, I use this. I use ibuprofen, and it helps to relieve the pain.
yeah, it is important to know what is normal and what is not. So before you get into taking analgesics like ibuprofen or paracetamol, you have to know like what exactly is happening, or if this pain is unbearable, if it's normal. So you have to know what is normal and what is not before you get into taking drugs, or you have to contact your doctor. Now, we're talk, going into normal and abnormal periods. So when you start having periods originally, like the first year, um, you can start having like irregular menstruation. Like you might get a period now and expect it to come like in the next 28 days, which is like the common circle that people usually would expect. But it might come later on, it might come 2 months after, 3 months after, and we still see this as normal because like medically they say that like first year of your menstruation it takes some time to stabilize because the body is still new to it, but anything after a year and your menses has not stabilized, you need to go and see a doctor to actually diagnose what is wrong with you. So Balkis, I don't know if you know some abnormalities with menses that could result
Yeah.
from yeah.
Yeah, I
if you're
think
not
other
sure.
things that people should also watch out for is like spotting between periods or like going months, as you mentioned, without a period if you are
Absolutely.
not like on birth control. So this can sometimes point to issues like hormonal imbalance, thyroid problems, or conditions like PCOS. So I think you should just try to speak to your doctor if you feel that your cycle is abnormal or you are seeing like spotting that is quite unusual.
Yeah, and talking about PCOS, like it is very common, and I think like the two most common topics, like common defects in menstruation generally, is either PCOS or endometriosis. And PCOS meaning the polycystic ovary syndrome, and this kind of defect actually comes with irregular periods or no periods at all. So it means like some months you might go some months without ovulating, thereby you're not getting a period. You might find it difficult to also get pregnant. You might have excessive hair growths around your face, your chest, back, or buttocks. You might also gain weight, so much weight, and you might have thinning hair or hair loss from the head or oily skin and acne. So, endometriosis, on the other hand, like it's a condition, where the tissue similar to the lining of the womb grows in other places, such as the ovaries and the fallopian tubes. And, the symptoms of this one actually is like the opposite of PCOS. So in PCOS, you're like getting lesser periods, but here you're getting more of periods, like you're getting like heavy periods, and you're getting like lower tummy aches and pelvic pain. And this is not just like the normal kind of pain that menses comes with. It is extreme, and like some individuals will be requiring uh what do they call it, admission while they're on their period. So this is a very, very alarming kind of issue that people need to pay attention to. While some people just dismiss you and say, "Oh, it's fine, everybody gets a period," but they don't really know like there are some defects like this that can come with periods and actually make it really, really tough for you to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think when we are talking about all of this, like period pains and some abnormalities that happen, it's also important for us to remember that diet is very key for us as women. So some people usually find that cutting back on things like maybe caffeine or salty foods or excess sugar can help them with having regular periods and all that. So, but if any of the things that we've discussed sounds like what you're experiencing, please by all means try to reach out to your doctor and get yourself checked. Yeah, okay. So should we talk now about maybe like menstrual hygiene
Yeah,
and
I think we
different?
should talk about that because it's like really, really important for people to know like what to do during their menses, because sometimes your hygiene level can also affect your health to some extent. So I would really like to hear what you have to say about the menstrual hygiene. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think, as you mentioned, menstrual hygiene is very important. And while some of us have that access to the information or access to products, we have many girls in developing economies or developing countries that do not have access to these products. But either ways, I think it's very important for us to have like personal hygiene basics, like changing your pads or your tampons regularly is very important to prevent infections, most importantly. So some people use different products like pads, tampons, which are very popular, but there's also menstrual cups. Although personally I've never used it or seen anyone use menstrual cups,
Neither
but I
have
know
I.
that
It
people,
looks scary.
yeah, I know it. And it works for some people. There's also this there's also period underwears that is becoming more popular now. But anyways, it's very important for you to keep your hygiene in check. During your periods, it's important for you to wash your hands as well, just to prevent any form of infection. But another important thing to mention is that during periods, you have to make sure that you wear breathable like underwears to prevent irritation. I know people could have irritation with wearing pads for longer hours, especially if you would work long hours and you don't have the time to change frequently. So many people do not realize that poor hygiene can lead to infections like bacteria, vaginosis, and all that. Very key for us to keep our hygiene in check. Ikma, I think is also like key for us to talk about the smell and color of periods.
Yeah, obviously, like anything that comes out of the body has like a particular smell to it, but this shouldn't be offensive. Like period blood naturally isn't doesn't give off an offensive smell
Yeah,
unless it comes
agree.
in contact with air. And when it comes in contact with air, what results in the smelling is actually the bacteria that ends up in it, so it starts to smell. So before
Mm-hmm.
that happens, you should always like make sure to change your pads at least every 4 hours. And if you're using a tampon, I think you can go over that over 4 hours, but you always have to be regular in changing whatever you use. And I've come to also understand that some people actually use wrappers like or tissue, and I would like to mention that it's a very very dangerous habit, as those especially tissue can get into your body and spread bacteria.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about tissue, I think we got from one of the anonymous stories we got. Let me read it very quickly. The person says that she grew up in an environment where tissues are like the popular products to use, and she didn't really have the access to menstrual other menstrual products like pads and all that. So and she's scared, and she truly hopes that some pieces of tissue are not hiding in her body. So I think it's very key thing that you mentioned, Ikma. Like some people still use tissues today, which is not very ideal. But by all means, if you are able to like use other products like pad and tampons and all that, that's better for you. And I know there are still like girls in many developing countries and all that don't have access to proper pads and tampons and other menstrual products. But I mean, it's an issue and a problem that we should all speak about and try to contribute our quota to changing.
Towards the end of this podcast, I would like us to like like talk to our audience about like how we can best support this
Yeah,
people
of
like in
course,
the
we
rural
we need
areas.
to get to that. Let's
Yeah,
keep it as a surprise to the end. Okay, so I think
absolutely.
talk smell and color as well. You've mentioned about smell and all that, but I think color is also important because it could give an indication if there's any problem. It's a good way to know if anything has changed. So bright red blood is the typical sign of a healthy menstrual flow, but if it's getting like to a darker brown blood color, then yeah, it means that something could be wrong. It could be that it's old blood leaving your uterus, so it might mean anything. So if it's coming consistently, I think it's ideal for you to speak with your doctor on that. So we've mentioned different kind of the popular products that are being used during menstruation, tampons and pad. There are so many products out there, and period underwear is also like something that people use now. Tampons are great for people, that want to go on the go and all. I personally have not tried it before, but I think some people use it and they feel comfortable with it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, and
yeah,
to
I
add to
think
what
yeah. Go ahead, Ikma.
Yeah, and to add to what Bilkis said about like the color of your menses, I would also like to mention that, like when you start your menses and you realize that you're passing some huge clots of blood, like huge chunks of blood that are like really, really consistent, you should also try to get help as soon as possible, as this could be a sign of endometriosis or something even more dangerous. So always look out for yourself and get the help that you need.
Yeah, yeah, very key point, Ikma. And I mean, we've been talking about periods and all now, and I have to say that there are many myths and facts out there about periods. So, do you want to like shed some light around this and just for us to demystify some of these things?
So, in some rural areas, like some, let's say, uncivilized areas, some people would usually say that, oh, menstruating women are dirty. I don't want them near my food. You don't have to cook. You don't have to touch any of my thing because you're going to infect it. So yeah, it is such a funny thing to say. Like the fact remains that your bleeding doesn't mean that you're not clean, and you can do activities that you feel you want to do, and it shouldn't be a problem. And also, people also say women that are menstruating can't swim. Yeah, of course, it's you can swim. You just have to go in with the right gear. Like when you're going to swim, it's better you use a tampon other than a pad for obvious reasons, because it's going to get messy in the pool, like when you have like a pad on compared to when you have like a tampon on. And
Mm.
also, some people say, "Oh, you can't get pregnant while you're menstruating." It is not true. You can absolutely get pregnant. You would be shocked. So, like in some rare cases, which is not so rare, you can ovulate while you're menstruating. For people that have like really short circle, they can ovulate like consecutively, and you would get pregnant if you're like involved in the act while you're menstruating.
That in addition to everything you've said, like another myth is that periods are super painful. So to be honest, mild cramping is normal during period, but when you have like extreme pain, it's not normal. So and it's if it's unbearable, it might be a sign of endometriosis, as Ikma mentioned the last time. So just definitely see a doctor. So, I mean, we've been talking about all of these things now. I think it's also important for us to talk about some of the symptoms or things that come with periods. So, let's talk about mood swings like PMS and all that, and how your hormonal changes affect your mood. You might feel like irritable, anxious, depressed. And Ikma, do you want to like speak a bit around this point?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about period is like you find out that some days before your menses, you some people like get irritable, they get emotional, they get so mushy, they cry a lot over little things, and some other people become so like, really, really hard-hearted or something. I don't know, but it's quite different for everybody. But before your menses, usually one of this happens, and it's mostly like a lot of people actually experience heightened emotions. So this is normal because of the hormones, like everything is at its peak. So yeah, during this phase, people like our families, our friends, everybody have to like take note of these periods and actually try to support us in the way they can by, like talking and also talking to us. And also before, you that you're experiencing it, I feel like it's always best to like explain yourself sometimes, like, oh yeah, this is the phase that I'm
I
currently
agree.
going through, to help people better understand you and know what to do, like, and not take these things that you do like too seriously, because sometimes it might come off as annoying to people that don't know what you're going through at the moment. So you speak, make sure to communicate. Communication is key while you're
Yeah, I
experiencing these
totally
mood
agree with
swings.
you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that communication is important so that people around us like can also understand how to help us, and also like practicing self-care is very important. We need to like do gentle exercises, meditation, like even journaling. All of these things can help. I'm very happy that we are even like talking about this emotional awareness quite timely, because World Mental Health Day is today, 10th of October, and we need to talk about these things, right? So during your period as well, you could, have hormonal changes that could change your mood. I know some people feel depressed and some people just feel very down during their period. So it's important for you to understand how you can help yourself during this phase, and also make people around you aware of what you're going through so that they can come in and help you. Yeah, so just talking about that as well, as Ikma mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we asked our listeners to share with us their stories, their menstrual period stories, and we got quite a number of feedback. Ikma, do you want to like share some of these stories, and maybe we just talk about key things around those stories that we got from our listeners. Okay, so I can start with one. Um, so someone says, I was very shy to buy pad or mention pad in stores. I didn't like whenever I meet a man as the cashier or men lined up on the till. I would hide my pad so no one would see it on my way home because I was so shy. I just started overcoming that a few years ago. What do you think about this, Sigma? Is this
That's
related?
Yeah, it's something that's really really common, especially when you're just starting out, or even if you've been in the business for so long. By business, I mean the menstruation, of course. So like you get really really shy when you want to like get those parts because you just know that everyone knows that you're menstruating, and this is like what we trying to break by talking about this thing publicly. It is not a topic to shy away from. It is not topic to feel ashamed about because of the narrative we've grown up with. It is time to talk. It is time to feel normal, getting the products that you need because it is for your own betterment. Like it is for your own self-care, and you shouldn't feel ashamed to get whatever you need during those times. Yeah.
Absolutely spot on. Honestly, there's no shame in periods. Go get your pads and be free to get it without having any sort of shame. There's no shame around it, and that's why we are also like sensitizing our men, sensitizing everyone around us, so that everyone understand what periods is, and we are all free to talk around it. Okay, so
Yeah.
another story. This one is quite interesting. The person
Yeah.
says, my first tampon experience was very embarrassing. I almost cried. So, to be honest, tampons, yeah, most people use it in the West, but I think it's not really like a popular product
Yeah.
from in
Option.
Nigeria, where we come from. Uh,
I think
yeah,
I think it goes around like the myth that the tampons can actually take your virginity. So I feel like that is the reason why it has not been like much of an option for women that are starting out on menstruation because they feel like this is so big, like the tampon is so big, and how am I going to get in it? But sorry to bust your bubble, girls. The tampons doesn't actually take your virginity away. So you feel free to use tampons if they're more.
yeah, tampons cannot take your virginity. I'm just
Yeah,
emphasizing on that.
if what is convenient for you to use, go ahead and use it. It doesn't take your virginity. Virginity is not about using tampons or not using tampons. It is actually a sexually related thing. So you don't need to be concerned about using what is there. Another story. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Go
Someone
ahead.
said, yeah, someone said getting stained every time was embarrassing. I was always watching back, and even as an adult, I still get scared of getting stained. Oh, this is so touching. And, this comes from, people making fun of women that get stained without them actually knowing. And it's so disheartening to read this and think that, oh, in this 21st century, like people still have this mindset of instead of helping somebody that you see that is unaware of what is happening to them, you still go on to make jest of them. And this is a trauma response. She having to still check every time, like whether she's stained or not, is not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be educated people around you that would support you. Oh, take my coat, take my sweater. I have a pad. Let's get you cleaned up. This should be more
Yeah,
of what we should be hearing from people, not actually people making jest of each other, even
I
coming
agree with
from
you.
women. You get
Yeah, and I
some.
think also that schools and workplaces can also like do better. There are some workplaces that already have like pad and tampons dispensers in their toilets. I think Ikma, you were also mentioning that that you've also seen this around some other public places. So I think that's something that could help reduce this kind of thing where you are
Absolutely.
going out and you don't have pad with you, but there's a pad dispenser somewhere. So hopefully, I hope that we are able to see more of this kind of dispensers around to support women during this period. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so another story is This one is interesting because it's very relatable. I first saw my period at the age of 13. I was happy to be a woman because I've heard conversations around it. But it was strange when it came lightly and never came back again until like 2 months later. Figuring out how to use a pad in a hostel was embarrassing. This is a very interesting one, and I think it's normal if you get your period for the first time and then it takes a bit of maybe a few months before you get
Yes,
it. Eh,
yes.
because your body is just like adjusting. But if it takes extended period of time, like you're talking about 4 5 months, 6 months, then I think you should get it checked because it might be like a symptom of something else. So what do you think, Ikma?
Yes, and also her getting her period at 13, and because, and also knowing what to do, even though she could not do it properly, knowing what to do at least, because she has heard conversations around it. I think it's such a good thing to know, because like, a lot of us were not educated about menstruation until we actually got it ourselves. So, imagine not having knowledge of any of this, and you just see blood out of nowhere. You're going to like be really, really scared, and you won't know what to do. You might probably think you're dying or something, you have
Mm-hmm.
cancer or something. So I'm glad that this person actually has had conversations around it, even though she went through some difficulties trying to use a pad, which is not strange. Of course, practice makes perfect. So yeah,
Yeah,
uh, I'm
yeah, I
really
agree
happy.
with you. Yeah, that's gonna be all. We're going to share these anonymous stories on our social media platforms as well, so you can catch up on those there. But the
Yes.
summaries are these stories are like very relatable experiences for we women. It's a tough period to navigate emotions during menstruation, but I mean, you just finding ways to talk about it with friends, with partners, or anyone can be of great help. So, Igma, we've been talking about access to menstrual products, like especially in developing economies, like so, supporting girls during puberty, and interestingly, the 11th of October is the Girl International Day of the Girl Child. So we have an interesting announcement. So, Igma, do you want to like talk about our initiative around supporting girls during puberty?
Yes, absolutely. I think beside the using our money to like support them in getting like period care products, it is also essential to like volunteer and go to like primary schools, because just like how we mentioned that some people get their periods as early as 8 now, it is very important to have like an education, and we go to like volunteer and go to primary schools in numbers and educate the children, the young children, both females and males, to know about periods, what to do when they see one, who to talk to, and the kind of help they should be getting. So, and also
Mm-hmm.
for period supplies, we can, what we're planning to do is to actually have like an outreach to uh, a school, especially primary schools, also to try to donate period care stuff like period pads, tampons, something to just donate to them, and for them to be able to use them whenever like they're in need of
Yes.
them.
Yeah, so at our health hour, we are going to be doing our part. As Ikmash said, we are going to be donating menstrual products to a particular school. We're yet to decide what that school is, but by all means, if this sounds like an initiative you want to contribute to, you can find us on our social media platforms on Instagram, and you can send us a DM and we can take it from there. But it's an initiative that we are proud of, and we are especially announcing this on a special day like this October 11th, which is the International Day of the Girl Child. So yeah, Um, so
Absolutely.
let's talk about tracking of your menstrual cycle. I mean, there are many apps out there that could help you like track your cycle. Ikma, do you have like any suggestion
Yeah, I
on?
think for now the most popular one is the Flow app, and
Yeah.
yeah, there are also other apps that you can use like they're free, like period tracker apps. Like there are numerous because sometimes Flow can be quite pricey for some people that can afford it. So it's always good to also go for apps that you can afford or apps that offer free services. And other than that, you can use like the plain old calendar method where you mark the first day of your period and then track it to the first day of your next period. So from there, you know when to expect your period. As this is a very helpful way to do it if you don't have an access to maybe a smartphone or if the applications are pricey for you.
Yeah, but why is it even important to track your cycle in the first place?
Yeah, it is very important to track your cycle. Like number one, to like find your fertile days, fertile windows for people
Mm-hmm.
trying to get pregnant. Some people actually want to know when they're fertile, so which is called ovulation. And to other people, you want to be able to track your period to know the average number, like where you fall into. For example, I mentioned you might have like lowest maybe 21-day cycle, and you might have a 35-day cycle, and anything going over that might be a problem that needs to be addressed. So it is very important to track your cycle to know where you belong and seek necessary help if you need to.
I think that's a very key point, and yeah, because your cycle can tell a whole lot about what's happening in your body. So if you track it, then you have the data to give to your doctor, and they could help you. So it could help them to see if you have any symptoms of any of the issues that we already discussed at the beginning of the podcast. So flow is very good, although might be like a bit pricey if you need to use the premium feature, but there are also like other free ones. I think Clue is also very good, just to keep track of your cycle. Yeah, I think we've covered most of what we wanted to discuss, but maybe we could still read like one or two other anonymous stories and discuss key things from there. So let me read this one, Ikma. It says, I started my period at the age of 15, felt it was a bit late. As most of my friends started way earlier, was very happy the first day I saw my period. Had an elder sister around to take me through the process of wearing my pad. Period stopped for another 3 to 4 months. So this one is interesting, and this person is quite lucky to have found like someone around to walk her through the process of using a pad. I think it's not everyone that had that privilege.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, most importantly here is also the fact that this person did not see the period for 3 to 4 months. I think we already discussed that, but maybe you can say one or two things around this again, Ikma. So why really do people but I think before we even go to why people like see stops in between their period, I think this person mentioned that she saw a period a bit late and felt, a bit anxious that her friends have started. I think it's important to understand that your body is different and your cycle will always be different from every other person's own. So you should not really use your friend's cycle or periods as your yardstick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I want to like just talk around why people we usually see stops, normal stops in between periods.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the discussion, like it is very normal in the first year of your period for, for fluctuations like this to happen because your body is still trying to get used to the whole process because it's a process that needs getting used to, and not everybody's body is able to catch up as soon as possible to it. So after a year, if you're still having this prolonged period, then you should seek help. And also, do not compare your periods or this with your friends, because like there's a time frame for it. If you're like 16, she said she was 15, which is still amongst the normal range. So if you're like over
Mhm.
16 and you don't get it, that is when it becomes alarming. So do not compare your body to someone else's. You're different, you're unique, you're you. So do not compare until it goes over the range that is being talked about generally.
Okay, so yeah, very key points, Ikma. So we have another one that says, I got my period at 12 at school and I was so scared. I used 2 gallons of water to wash up and was still bleeding. I thought I was going to die and started crying until my mom came home and I told her, then she enlightened me.
Yes,
This is
this is so
interesting.
hilarious.
I think, yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like it stems from, like not being educative. So it's really,
yeah,
really important that we educate our children, we educate our sisters, we educate our daughters, about these things, just so they don't get the wrong idea of whatever is happening to them. And Bilkis, can you wait, did you actually have the knowledge of the period before you got your periods, or you had like a funny experience too?
yeah, I think for me, I had the knowledge. Luckily, I went to a school that had access to organizations that come to speak to us. So we had
That's
like
good.
this organization. Yeah, yeah. I think their name was Leap Africa, or so. So they came to sensitize us on some of these things about puberty, sex education, and all that. So I think that really helped to give me the background knowledge that yeah, this will happen at some point, but I didn't know when it was going to happen. So but by all means, I think having that education from home is also very critical. So you mentioned a very key point there, that parents should do better, educate the kids at a very young age, because now we have girls even starting their periods at earlier age, like age 9. I've even heard of 8 years old. So I think it's changing now. Girls are starting their periods way earlier nowadays. So it's important for dads, for moms to ensure that they enlighten their kids from home.
Absolutely, that's a very important thing. And
Yeah,
yeah, and to our listeners, we would really like to thank you
yeah,
for the responses that we got from the last week. And we encourage you to always like engage with us to take these conversations, because without you, we can have like a exciting episodes like this, and then the responses we can relate to
yeah,
them. And I'm sorry to
yeah,
those that had like a bad experience. And yeah, I think it would motivate you people to do better with your children, and like, and
yeah,
people around you. So
yeah.
yeah, we're really thankful for the responses that we got from you. I took this podcast to the
Absolutely.
next level. So
Absolutely.
Bilkis,
Thank you, everyone. And yes, so that will be all for today's episode. But remember, menstruation is a natural part of life, and it's important for us to talk about it openly without any shame. So, thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you on our next episode.
yes, and we'll be also doing a teaser for that, and yeah, allowing you people to guess what we're going to talk about, or rather, suggesting what we talk about in our next episode.
Information shared on this podcast are not to be considered medical advice. Always consult with a qualified health professional for health concerns.